One of the key aims of the ADR is to version the data in the HIV estimates process and to keep an audit trail showing who has made what changes to the data and when. Well, this is done in the dataset activity stream, which you can access by clicking on this tab of the dataset page. If you click here, you'll see a list of activities or dataset revisions showing who has made what changes and when. And for each revision of the dataset, you can view that version, you can see a summary of the changes made in that version, and you can also turn that version into a release. I'll talk a bit more about that later. So firstly, if you view the version, you should note that there is a banner that tells you you're viewing an old version of the dataset. Do not get confused about whether you're viewing the current version or an old version of the dataset. When you are browsing an old version of the dataset, you can actually download old versions of your data as well. So if you want to recover an old version of a particular file, you can go and try and find it in the activity stream. If you want to see a summary of the changes made to your data in a particular version, you can pick a version and you can click on Changes. And it will tell you what was changed in that particular version. So for instance, here we can see that Rob Ashton added the ART data resource to this data set. You can also click on Show Metadata Diff, which will highlight in the JSON metadata the difference that took place. So here we can see, for instance, that this particular resource was added, which is the ART data resource. It's not necessarily expected that you would use this page much, but it is certainly very valuable when debugging and trying to unpick problems in the data. The third thing that you can do from the activity stream is to create a release. Now, a release is simply a tagged revision of your dataset. To create a release, you click the Add Release link for a particular revision. You tag that revision with a name or a description. So it might be finalized programmatic data. Click Add, and then that release will appear in the Releases tab of your dataset and allow you to very quickly find that particular revision of the data and go and view the data at that point in time. Note that at this point in time, there was only one resource in this data set, the geographic data file. You can actually create a release another way as well. You can come to your dataset and you can click on the Releases tab and you can click Add Release, and this will very quickly create a release from the current version of the data, like this. And you see you build up a list of releases that you can very quickly browse through. A very powerful tool is that you can actually restore your dataset to the point in time of that release. So for instance, if we wanted to restore this dataset back to that early release, I can click this Restore button and click Restore. And then when we go and browse that dataset, you'll see that the dataset now only has the one resource in the geographic data. The activity stream remains linear, and all we have done is added another revision of the dataset that matches that old revision of the dataset. You can also edit releases, which simply means to edit the name and the description that has been used to tag that particular revision. And you can delete releases. Now, note that when you delete a release, you do not delete the data, you just delete the tag to that particular revision of the data. So it is fairly safe to delete a release, providing that you are sure you will be able to find that revision again in the activity stream. If you have any questions about any of this, do let me know. This tool is especially for those that are helping to support with the HIV estimates process. It really is very helpful for unpicking and debugging problems in your data. Oh, as an additional note, the AIDS data repository itself may make some changes to your dataset. These are typically validation status updates, but any automated change to your dataset that happens from the software itself will be attributed to the AIDS data repository user.